this is me Leneha Junsu. Welcome to my channel, which is all about enhancing what you have. Today we're going to enhance our imagination. So a few days ago I asked all of you about your experiences related to paranormal activity or anything haunted, and you guys shared it, and we had part 1. Now many of you anticipated for part 2, so we are shooting it. One more thing, that if any of you want to share any of your experiences or someone you know experiences, so please you can DM me on Instagram. My Instagram is Leneha Junsu. So yeah, we will add your stories. You can always submit. We love such stuff. So let's get started. So I will be reading stories from my phone, so that's why I will be looking down. Okay, so the first story is by Jinn. Now many of you know her by her first story in part 1. If you haven't seen it, you should. So that's her second submission for part 2. Yeah, let's read it. When I was 3, I used to have a friend called Mohsen, which no one else could see. I always told my mother about that. They thought it's like imaginary friends, Mom tells me. I used to cry and said that I see something in the dark. I used to see creepy shadows. Later on, when we left the house, it was told that the house was haunted and creepy happenings used to occur. So this story is by Zainab Idris. So this happened to my sister's friend who was a hostelier. She was a very religious person, like being in veil most of the time, praying 5 times a day and all. And she used to sleep with all the lights off. So one day when she was sleeping in her room, she suddenly woke up in the middle of night and saw something at corner of the door. A figure that was staring at her. She recited Ayatul Kursi and everything got back to normal, so she slept again. Medical students' sleeps are gold. Yeah, right. After a few minutes, she felt something again, and now the figure was more clear and nearer to her. A girl in long hair that was just staring at her. She got really scared and recited Ayatul Kursi again and even louder. So it disappeared. She didn't sleep this time, but just closed her eyes for a few minutes. She felt something for the 3rd time, and now that thing was sitting right next to her. She started reciting Ayatul Kursi again as she was crying out of fear, but this time that thing stared at her and said, "Padho, Mama," and started to recite with her. She didn't stop and kept reciting, so it disappeared after a while. After that, she changed her room and things got better. I've got goosebumps. So again, this happened in the same hostel. Another girl this time. She was studying at night and went up to drink water. The jug was on table. When she reached near the table, the lights went off. Now, lights usually never go out like this in their hostel because of generators. She didn't care about it and held the jug, but there was someone's hand on the jug already. She pulled her hand back and the lights came back, but there was no one in the room except her. I literally don't know how people are alive after knowing such stories. So this next story is by Tayyiba. She's a very good friend of mine, and that's how her story goes. Okay, so here goes. I was very young and the building was getting reconstructed. My friends had moved out that very day. It was a super old building and already had that weird haunting quality. Anyways, my friend's mom remembered she left some important piece of paper on one of the abundant pieces of furniture and told us to get it. I would have never gone, no matter what. My entire family knows that I'm a chicken and nobody sends me anywhere alone because they know I'm going to freak out anyways, even if there isn't anything. So It was something she was supposed to pick up while moving out the last of her things. When we went to get it, we saw something in the living room. It was the shadow of a person smoking and rocking in a chair. I've got goosebumps. We turned back and there was no one. We ran out. I'm not a superstitious person, nor I'm a person who's easily creeped out or assume things are otherworldly when there exist logical explanations. It was after summer break at university. Now she studied at Lums in Lahore. The dorms next to ours had just finished construction or were in the end of processes of it. I don't quite remember. When we moved into our room, it had a weird feeling. For once, I would always feel a presence watching me. Not one for believing in these things. I ignored it until my roommate also expressed some discomfort. My roommate was sitting at a desk which had kind of a shelf over it, and her friend was doing her hair. She used to put her toiletries on one of the shelves. Now normally, if something were to fall down, it would fall down vertically. What happened was her toothbrush fell in a projectical way and hit our friend in the middle of forehead. Of course, it was super freaky and she never came to our room again. I would have done the same thing. Another instance was one day when I was praying. I was wearing one of these prayer hijabs that are sewn into a hijab shape, difficult to take off once you put them on. I also have those. Yet the moment I got up from sujood, I felt a force on hijab all around, like someone yanking off my hijab. Someone might think it got stuck under my knees. I assure you, that wasn't the case. Needless to say, I had been feeling a presence behind me from quite some time. That is so scary when you can feel something that is behind you. I would have passed out. Literally. There is this funny incident that happened with me. So I decided to pray in airplane, and there are these rooms that are specifically for praying. So what happened when I went into the sajda, because I have a fear of heights, what happened that I could feel the plane shaking like this. And because the plane was shaking and I could feel it because I was on the ground, I was praying, my head was on the floor, I could feel the plane shaking, and suddenly I froze. And literally there were other women who were praying with me. 5 minutes have passed and I was still stuck there. Like I wasn't able to just sit back normally because I was scared. And after 5 minutes, 2 women helped me sit back because I was so scared. Like, can you imagine? I'm that of a person. Let's get back to the story. Then there were other instances, my roommate feeling it too, hearing the jangling of keys, etc. My roommate started playing a recording of Surah Al-Baqarah, and after a few instances of that, the feeling of being watched vanished and no weird stuff happened. That is really creepy, and I have seen, and now because we're doing a series, like you guys also have an idea now that sometimes in some haunted places, some paranormal experiences happen with people. Now I'm going to share one instance. You know, I'm very shy to share my experiences and look right into the camera, but I'm going to try, so please excuse me. So many of you who have seen part 1 would be knowing that my house was 1.6 acres. Now I'm talking about 2006 or 2007. What actually happened was my grandmother passed away in 2006. Yeah. So because the house was so big, all her 7 children wanted the property, likewise, like it's legally and whatever. So the house that was 1.6 acres, it was divided in 7 portions. We got the middle part of the house. Now that old house that we had was like, there was ground on the 4 side, and then there were these paths for cars. There were roads to walk, to park cars, there were garages and stuff like that. And because the house was really big and we were only 7 people who were living in this house, we had lots of rooms that were empty. So anyways, that's how the house was anyways. What happened, because there were portions and everything was being divided, so my father started building the house on his portion. One day my father used to go to this shrine every Monday evening. So this time my mother and my brother accompanied him along with all the drivers and gunmen we had. So there was no one like left. It was only me and my younger sister at the house at that time. I was 16 and if I'm talking about an incident in 2007, I was 17. So probably it's in 2006 or 2007, I was 16, 17 at that time. What happened that me and my sister are laying down on this bed right here. So suddenly what happened, we started hearing sounds of utensils falling. Now can you see this curtain? There is this big door that was constructed when my grandfather made this house, and the door is quite thick and quite wide, like it's this wide and it's quite big. So behind this door was a kitchen and a very big washroom. So what happened, because the kitchen was there, our kitchen was very small, we started hearing utensils falling. And because in the start utensils were falling, so we thought that maybe something would have was inappropriately put there, so it just fell. Suddenly we started hearing other utensils falling. So this can happen because the other utensil would have touched other one and it would have fallen or whatever. Before we could even get up or decide to go in the kitchen, we started hearing utensils falling continuously, one on one, and this kept on happening for 5 minutes. Me and my sister are already very much scared of anything. Like if you're going to come to us and you're going to say boo, we just get scared of that. What happened later on was that in all those 5 minutes when everything was falling, the sound got louder and louder, and it was clear it was happening here and not anywhere. And let me tell you one thing, because my house was very big, we didn't had any neighbors. All the neighbors were very far away, very far away. So if we are going to scream or yell, nobody's going to hear us. So the utensils are falling, and I'm telling you within these 5 minutes what happened. During the utensils falling, light went off of this room, of the entire house. The light went off. I called my parents and my brother from our landline. Unluckily, none of their number was available. I had no one to whom I can call for help, and me and my sister are freaking out. In the mid of all this happening, we heard all these things stopping, like the falling of utensils suddenly stop, and this particular room filled with smoke, like very thick smoke. Now we live in Lahore, we don't have that type of smoke all of a sudden until there is a fire. So we thought that either it's fire or something else, whatever it is. We ran out of this room. Now what happened, we didn't wear any shoes, and there were pebbles and stones because it was a construction site at that time, and we ran direct to the gate. Our gate was locked because our parents weren't home and they locked us. So we went right to the gate, and let me tell you, even till today there is this big path we have to cross from our courtyard and everything, and it was a very long distance, and we were running. After a minute or two, from very far away, one of our maid used to live, she heard us. It was night time, around 7 to 9 p.m. in between that time. She heard us and she came running to us, and she kept standing with us for half an hour until the electricity was back. And once she was here on the gate, I looked back at my house, and the entire house was filled with smoke. Can you imagine? So yeah, this next story is by Aiman Khan. Now she's my friend, and this is the video she sent to me. So later on at 3 a.m. she went to sleep, and she said that she could sense someone's hair falling down the window, from her window, someone's hair. And later on, she realized that the hair that she is watching are not hair, and it's just her eyesight that is weak because she wasn't wearing any glasses. Yeah, so I just wanted you guys to laugh, and yeah, this is the end of part 2, and I hope that we can have a part 3 as well. So don't forget to submit your stories, and I hope you have a great time as well. Bye bye.